Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha television. You're watching this special telecast with the Italian Prime Minister in India, Giuseppe Conte, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing a press conference in just a while. And we will in fact be building up to that press conference and take you live there. But before that, of course, we'll talk about the visiting Prime Minister's visit to India itself. And to do that, I have with me on the program right now Ambassador K.P. Fabian. He's been the former Indian ambassador to Italy. Ambassador, welcome and thank you for joining me on the program. What do you make of the Italian Prime Minister's visit to India?
I consider it as an important visit, important for Italy and for India, because we are completing 70 years of our diplomatic relations,
ties,
though
yes.
I should add, we are two ancient civilizations, and an embassy from India had gone to Italy in 25 BC. And they used to get, Romans used to get pepper from Kerala, and Pliny the Elder used to, what shall I say, bemoan that, a lot of gold was going away to, because of pepper and spices, So it's a very ancient relationship, and we all know Marco Polo who came.
Yes.
And other relationships also. And what I want to say is that the potential is huge. We have, of course, realized a part of the potential, but only a part. And there is a lot more is to be done. And this emphasis on science and technology, basically knowledge, that is very, very important, because Italy is a source of knowledge. In terms of knowledge, Italy is a great power. We all know Italy's contribution, Renaissance, what happened to European civilization. And so this is a great thing. And incidentally, I want to mention that since we are talking about knowledge, it's also important to measure the contribution of knowledge to GDP, Gross Domestic Product, So there is a concept called GDKP, Gross Domestic Knowledge Product. And we are working with Italy, with an Italian professor, Umberto Sulpasso, with Niti Aayog and our
Sorry to cut you short, Ambassador.
Yeah.
Italian Prime Minister Conte is going to start addressing the media now. Let's cut across live and listen in to what he has to say.
It is an honor for me to be here today at the 24th edition of the Technology Summit, India's and South Asia's most important event on technological innovation and its business applications. The invitation to Italy as co-organizing country, for which I personally thank Prime Minister Modi, highlights the strong friendship that binds our two countries. Our participation has a special symbolic meaning this year. We are celebrating the 7th anniversary of our diplomatic relation. The high number and level of entrepreneurs, scientists, academics, and the representatives of institutions who came from Italy to take part in this event, and to whom I am very grateful for being here, are an evidence on the strong ties between our civil societies. Before meeting you here at the Tech Summit, I had a fruitful meeting with Prime Minister Modi. We have reviewed all the areas of our bilateral partnership with a shared determination to further strengthen it. Among the topics that we discussed, I will mention a few that might be of particular interest to you. Regarding our economic partnership, we have explored the possible Italian contribution to Make in India in various sectors, in which Italy offers world-class excellence. We have explored the potential for new partnership in the field of railway transport safety, and the relaunching of cooperation in the development of renewable energy, on which just a year ago a specific memorandum was signed here in Delhi. Initial contacts have also started between the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund and our Cassa Depositi and Prestiti for the development of joint initiatives in the railway and health sectors. As we have highlighted with Prime Minister Modi, India and Italy have points of similarity and complementarity that make us a natural alliance in offering effective answers to the challenges of the 21st century. Italy and India are two strong democracies. We are both committed in the G20 to promote a truly effective multilateralism and an economic governance which could ensure fair and dignified living conditions to all citizens. Italy is the third economy in the Eurozone and the second European manufacturer. India is growing at a fast pace and is an engine of prosperity for the whole of Asia. They are naturally led to cooperate in the economic sphere. Technology offers innovative solutions that we could not have imagined until a few years ago, and that open up new scenarios in all sectors. I am referring to artificial intelligence, robotics, unmanned vehicles, intelligent bionics limbs, remote surgery, just to mention a few examples. Italy and India together should grab these opportunities. Innovation can be a catalyst for more inclusive growth and an instrument to spread the advantages of global development. Globalization can be beneficial to many, but it should not leave anybody behind. The partnership between Italy and India in the scientific, technological, and industrial field is already very structured, but events such as the Tech Summit allow us today to gather our best skills and give a new impetus to this common path towards a greener, more sustainable and inclusive growth. The 7 focus areas chosen for this edition of the Tech Summit certainly represent the pillars of a renewed partnership between Italy and India. Dear Prime Minister, distinguished scientists and entrepreneurs, because of my academic experience, allow me to highlight first the key role of higher education. Sustainable growth must be based on the strengthening skill development and on a growing interaction between the scientific and business worlds. Italy has a long history in the fields of higher education and research, and a consolidated tradition of highly skilled and competitive human capital. Italy is home of the first university of the Western world, alma mater of Bologna, and of the first non-religious state university in the world, the Federico II of Naples. The first graduated woman studied at the University of Padua. Italian research is highly appreciated worldwide. Italy ranks 5th globally for the impact of scientific publications, with excellent results, particularly in the fields of medicine and engineering. We stand at the 7th place in 2018 in the rankings of the International Federation for Robotics. Physics and astrophysics are other fields of excellence for the Italian research. The Gran Sasso National Laboratories, a unit structure, is a world leader in the study of hardly detectable particles, such as neutrinos. About 1,100 scholars from 29 different countries work there. Our country is at the forefront for multilateral strategic projects, such as the extremely large telescope of the European Southern Observatory and the project involving also India for the construction of the Square Kilometers Array, the world's largest radio telescope. We have a solid base of collaboration that we should expand further. I refer to the 120 agreements signed between Italian and Indian universities, to the projects of researchers, partnership at the Cyclotron Elettrica that just was mentioned before in Trieste, and to the cooperation between the Italian Space Agency and its Indian counterpart. Let me highlight that Italy and India host two of the three components of the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, World Excellence for Research in Life Sciences. Among the Tech Summits area, I would also like to mention aerospace, a sector where international partnership is a must. Italian aerospace industry is fourth in Europe and seventh in the world. We were the third country to launch a satellite in outer space. Italy is a leading player also in the research applied to environmental protection and fight against climate change. Beyond the Arctic Circle, Italian researchers are conducting their studies in the base Dirigibile Italia and in the Antarctica research stations Mario Zucchelli and Concordia. The effects of climate change demands more investment in renewable energies, one of the most competitive and fast developing sectors, thanks to the rapid innovation in solar and wind energy production. I hope that the bilateral memorandum of understanding of renewable energy signed last year in Delhi will allow us to strengthen our cooperation in this field. I am particularly pleased that the cultural heritage has also been included among the focus area of this Tech Summit. As Italy hosts the highest number of UNESCO heritage sites, we have naturally put innovation and technology at the service of the conservation of monuments. We are pleased to share with India the unique expertise we have gathered in this area. Besides being a driver of our scientific partnership, technology and innovation are also powerful tools to strengthen our industrial partnership, our trade and mutual investments, especially in high-added value sectors. India is a very important trade and industrial partner for Italy. Our trade has reached 8.7 billion euros in 2017 and is growing. India hosts 600 Indian-Italian companies. Our investments in your country have reached over 6 billion euros. Our companies work in India in the fields of automotive, renewable energy, industrial components, agro-industry, engineering and construction. I'm aware that in India our major groups have promising opportunities in the area of renewable energy, ICT, sustainable mobility and electronics. I hope that they will reach together with their Indian partners even more ambitious goals, and I will give my strongest support to this end. India is experiencing a second high-tech revolution and promotes very innovative projects, such as Digital India, that will provide the country with digital infrastructures, and the smart cities with intelligent transport and distribution systems. Italian companies should not miss the opportunities offered by these programs. Indian investments in Italy amount to slightly over 2,050 million euros. Therefore, I believe that there is a still largely unexpressed potential. We have noticed that a growing interest in Indian investors to pharmaceutical and ICT businesses in Italy. Let me encourage this interest, which is fully justified. Investing in Italy means not only entering the broad EU market, it entails access to a know-how which is typical of our country, a unique combination of high quality, planning capabilities, and design. Last but not least, I would like to focus on the design sector, which has a special place in our economic relations. The notion of design, as you know, is linked to the idea of beauty. I'm pleased to learn that a large Indian delegation has visited the last edition of the Salone del Mobile in Milan and has met with the most important Italian professionals and of the sector. I wish that high-level forum will allow us to continue the exchange of best practices. Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests, the common goal of our governments is to become more strategic partners in innovation, to provide a very concrete and effective answer to the global challenges that we face. We must keep on working together at all levels to build more sustainable energy production and transport systems, reducing pollution in our cities, to develop technological enabling increase of our manufacturers' productivity. Mr. Prime Minister, dear participants to this Tech Summit, I sincerely thank you, and I wish that this edition of the Tech Summit will mark an important turning point towards a new idea of our partnership, with India and Italy united as allies for an even more equitable and sustainable growth of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your speech today really sets the tone for a renewed collaborative framework for science and technology and businesses for our two countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the presence of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, is a source of great encouragement and of great motivation to each one of us. His passion for technology, his visionary leadership on technology and innovation and R&D is well known, and our Honorable Minister did speak about that. We find that it has a very, very special place in his heart, and for which we are indeed honored that he is gracing the Tech Summit for the second time after 2016. It's my pleasure and my honor to now request and invite the Honorable Prime Minister of India to give his valedictory address.
Your Excellency, Pradhan Giuseppe Conte जी, कैबिनेट में मेरे सहयोगी डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन जी, टेक समिट में मौजूद टेक्नोलॉजी की दुनिया से जुड़े भारत और इटली के सभी साथी, देवियों और सज्जनों, नमस्कार। चाओ come stai? इटली से यहाँ आए सभी अतिथियों का विशेष रूप से हार्दिक स्वागत है। बेनवेनुतो इन इंडिया। फ्रेंड्स, ये 24वां टेक समिट है। इस समिट में पार्टनर कंट्री के रूप में इटली की भागीदारी और साथ ही प्रधानमंत्री कोंते जी की गरिमामय उपस्थिति, ये हमारे लिए गर्व का विषय है। यहाँ आने से पहले अपनी आधिकारिक मुलाकात के दौरान प्रधानमंत्री श्री कोंते जी के साथ मेरी विस्तार से चर्चा हुई है। भारत के साथ संबंधों के प्रति उनका उत्साह, उनकी प्रतिबद्धता मैंने खुद अनुभव की है। ये साल हमारे इसलिए भी महत्वपूर्ण है क्योंकि ये भारत और इटली के डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशंस का 70वां साल है। इसी साल साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में हमारे सहयोग को 40 वर्ष पूरे हो रहे हैं। इस शुभ अवसर पर प्रधानमंत्री कोंते जी की भारत यात्रा का एक अलग ही महत्व है। फ्रेंड्स, वो समय है जब टेक्नोलॉजी के बिना जीवन की कल्पना करना मुश्किल है। आज करीब करीब हर व्यक्ति का जीवन टेक्नोलॉजी से किसी न किसी रूप में जुड़ा हुआ है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में तो टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में बहुत तेजी से परिवर्तन हुए हैं। इसकी रफ्तार इतनी तेज है कि एक टेक्नोलॉजी का प्रभाव समाज के आखिरी छोर तक पहुंचे उसके पहले ही उससे बेहतर टेक्नोलॉजी बाजार में मौजूद हो जाती है। ऐसे में सभी देशों के सामने बदलती हुई टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ चलने की चुनौती है, तो अनेक नए अवसर भी है। भारत ने तो टेक्नोलॉजी को सामाजिक न्याय, सशक्तिकरण, समावेश, सक्षम सरकारी तंत्र और पारदर्शिता का माध्यम बनाया है। सरकारी सेवाओं की प्रभावी लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी को टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से सुनिश्चित किया जा रहा है। विशेष तौर पर डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, उसका एक व्यापक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विकसित किया जा रहा है ताकि सामान्य जन को और आसानी से सुविधाओं का लाभ मिल सके। टेक्नोलॉजी को हम ईज ऑफ लिविंग का एक महत्वपूर्ण माध्यम मानते हैं। फ्रेंड्स, आज दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट स्कीम में से एक भारत में चल रही है। सरकारी मदद सीधे लाभार्थियों के बैंक खातों में पहुंचाई जा रही है। बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट से लेकर बुढ़ापे की पेंशन तक की अनेक सुविधाएं आज ऑनलाइन है। 300 से अधिक केंद्र और राज्य सरकार की सेवाओं को उमंग ऐप के माध्यम से एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर लाया गया है। डिजिटल पेमेंट आजकल करीब 250 करोड़ ट्रांजैक्शन प्रति माह की रफ्तार से बढ़ रहे हैं। देश भर में 3 लाख से अधिक कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर से गांव-गांव में ऑनलाइन सेवाएं दी जा रही है। पिछले 4 वर्षों में भारत में 1 GB डेटा की कीमत 90% से ज्यादा तक कम हुई है। भारत में यह सस्ता डेटा देश के हर व्यक्ति तक डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी को पहुंचाने का प्रभावी माध्यम बन रहा है। फ्रेंड्स, भारत अब आईटी सॉफ्टवेयर पावर की अपनी पहचान को नेक्स्ट लेवल पर ले जाने के लिए आगे बढ़ रहा है। हम भारत में साइंटिफिक टेम्पर से टेक्नोलॉजिकल टेम्परामेंट विकसित करने पर जोर दे रहे हैं। देश भर में अटल टिंकरिंग लैब के माध्यम से स्कूलों में इनोवेशन के लिए, भविष्य की तकनीक के लिए टेम्परामेंट विकसित किया जा रहा है। अटल इनोवेशन मिशन के माध्यम से देश भर में ऐसे युवाओं का नेटवर्क तैयार किया जा रहा है जो चौथी औद्योगिक क्रांति का मजबूत स्तंभ बन सकेंगे। सरकार के इन तमाम प्रयासों का ही नतीजा है कि वर्ल्ड इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की ग्लोबल इनोवेशन इंडेक्स की रैंकिंग में हम 21 स्थान पर ऊपर पहुंचे हैं, आगे आ गए। इसके अलावा आज दुनिया का दूसरे सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। भारत में जो इनोवेशन हो रहे हैं उसमें क्वालिटी पर जोर दिया जा रहा है। भारत का स्पेस प्रोग्राम इसका बेहतरीन उदाहरण है और इसकी सफलता तो इटली में भी, और इटली के साथ काम कर कर इटली ने भी उसको महसूस की है। आज भारत इटली समेत दुनिया के अनेक देशों के सैटेलाइट बहुत कम खर्च पर, एक प्रकार से कहूंगा मामूली खर्च पर अंतरिक्ष में भेज रहे हैं। ये सैटेलाइट टेक्नोलॉजी का लाभ घर घर तक पहुंचाने में उपयोगी साबित हो रहे हैं। साथियों, आज जब दुनिया इंडस्ट्री 4.0 की चर्चा कर रही है, तब भारत और इटली की प्राचीन सभ्यताओं के बीच साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में सहयोग को मजबूत करना ये नए अवसर बनेंगे, बल्कि चुनौतियों का सामना भी हम प्रभावी ढंग से कर पाएंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत दुनिया की सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ रही बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं में से एक है। भारत का विशाल डोमेस्टिक मार्केट, युवा जनसंख्या, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन का इकोसिस्टम साथ मिलकर दुनिया की ग्रोथ का एक ताकतवर इंजन सिद्ध होने वाला है। वहीं विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी में इटली के पास भी समृद्ध विरासत है। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की दुनिया में इटली का नाम उत्तम क्वालिटी के लिए जाना जाता है। इसलिए भारत और इटली साथ मिलकर हाई क्वालिटी रिसर्च में अपना सहयोग और अधिक मजबूत कर सकते हैं। इस सहयोग के माध्यम से हम वैश्विक चुनौतियों के समाधान के लिए साझा टेक्नोलॉजिकल सॉल्यूशंस तैयार कर सकते हैं। यही कारण है कि दोनों देशों के लोगों के जीवन को बेहतर बनाने, पर्यावरण स्वच्छ बनाने, मानव कल्याण के लिए साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में सहयोग मजबूत करना पहले की तुलना में सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है। मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि दोनों देशों का वैज्ञानिक समुदाय एवं बिजनेस लीडर्स मिलकर रिसर्च और इनोवेशन के कटिंग एज क्षेत्रों में सहयोग कर रहे हैं। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, एनवायरमेंटल साइंस, न्यूरो साइंस और आईटी से लेकर सांस्कृतिक विरासत के संरक्षण जैसे क्षेत्रों में हमारा व्यापक सहयोग है। फ्रेंड्स, सहयोग के इस मार्ग को मजबूत करने के साथ ही हमारा लक्ष्य यह सुनिश्चित करना भी है कि रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के परिणाम प्रयोगशालाओं तक ही सीमित न रहे, बल्कि इनका लाभ समाज, जनता तक भी पहुंचे। इसलिए ही मैं हमेशा कहता हूं, साइंस इज यूनिवर्सल, टेक्नोलॉजी हैज टू बी लोकल। भारत में हमने अपनी ऐतिहासिक विरासत के संरक्षण के लिए साइंस एंड हेरिटेज रिसर्च इनिशिएटिव यानी श्री SHRI की शुरुआत की है। इसका उद्देश्य ऐतिहासिक स्मारकों के संरक्षण और रेस्टोरेशन के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी से जुड़े समाधान ढूंढना है। टेक्नोलॉजी, टूरिज्म और हिस्ट्री तीनों का संगम इस पहल में दिखाई देता है। मुझे विश्वास है कि साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देकर विकास की नई गति सुनिश्चित होगी। हमारे द्विपक्षीय संबंधों के विकास में भी इनका महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका होगी। यही इस टेक समिट का उद्देश्य रहा है। मुझे विश्वास है कि बीते 2 दिनों के दौरान समिट में हुई चर्चाओं में से दोनों देशों के बीच टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर, जॉइंट वेंचर्स और मार्केट एक्सेस को बढ़ाने में सहायता मिलेगी। यह समिट हमारे साझा भविष्य की चर्चा में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाएगी। फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत इटली द्विपक्षीय इंडस्ट्रियल रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट कोऑपरेशन कार्यक्रम के अगले चरण की शुरुआत की घोषणा करते हुए मुझे बहुत ही खुशी हो रही है। इससे हमारे उद्योग और रिसर्च संस्थान बिना किसी बाधा के नए उत्पाद और प्रोटोटाइप विकसित कर सकेंगे। नो हाउ को समय की मांग है, शो हाउ में परिवर्तित हो सके। दोनों देशों में आर्थिक संबंध और मजबूत करने के लिए हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हुए हैं कि ज्वाइंट कमीशन ऑन इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन के मार्गदर्शन में एक CEO फोरम का भी गठन हो। इसके साथ ही दोनों देशों के बीच 2-वे इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाने के लिए व्यापार करने में आ रही अड़चनों को भी दूर करने के लिए एक फास्ट ट्रैक मैकेनिज्म बनाने पर भी सहमति बनी है। मुझे इस बात की भी प्रसन्नता है कि भारत और इटली LED यानी लाइफस्टाइल एक्सेसरी डिजाइन के क्षेत्र में सहयोग बढ़ाने पर सहमत हुए हैं। इसमें भी लेदर सेक्टर, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एंड ऑटोमोबाइल डिजाइन यानी टेड पर विशेष फोकस किया जाएगा। साथ ही मुझे ये बताते हुए भी प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि दोनों देश सांस्कृतिक विरासतों के संरक्षण, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, लाइफ साइंस एंड जियो हैजार्ड जैसे चुनिंदा क्षेत्रों में कौशल पर आधारित इंडो इटालियन सेंटर्स ऑफ एक्सीलेंस की स्थापना करेंगे। इनसे न सिर्फ उच्च श्रेणी के विश्वविद्यालय, अनुसंधान संस्थान और उद्योग आपस में जुड़ेंगे, बल्कि हमारे सामने आ रही चुनौतियों का तकनीकी समाधान भी निकाला जा सकेगा। फ्रेंड्स, टेक समिट की सफलता में और उसकी सफलता के लिए मैं सभी आयोजकों को हृदयपूर्वक बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं इटली सरकार को भी हृदय से धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उन्होंने एक पार्टनर देश के रूप में जुड़ने का हमारा निमंत्रण स्वीकार किया। टेक समिट के सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स का भी बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आप सभी का योगदान और उपस्थिति इस समिट की सफलता के लिए महत्वपूर्ण रही है। मैं एक बार फिर प्रधानमंत्री कोंते जी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि उन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम की शोभा बढ़ाई। यही नहीं, उन्होंने भारत इटली की नई पार्टनरशिप के नवनिर्माण को अपने व्यक्तिगत मार्गदर्शन, दृष्टिकोण और प्रतिबद्धता का अनमोल उपहार दिया है। ग्राzie मिले। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
There you have it, Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and his Italian counterpart, Giuseppe Conte, they're addressing a press conference talking about the bilateral relationship, and they were talking about how they discussed about all the gamuts of the bilateral relationship between the two countries, focusing, of course, on several key areas, and also higher education and research is what they were speaking about, and also, furthering the scientific development and scientific knowledge between the two countries. To talk about this, I have with me still in the studio right now, former Indian ambassador to Italy, Mr. KP Fabian. Ambassador, what were the key takeaways for you from the press conference?
The key takeaway for me is that India and Italy have correctly decided to focus this time on science and technology. That is basically knowledge. Now, historically, the decimal system went from India to Europe through Italy. Actually, it was in Sicily first. And without the decimal system, can you imagine the scientific revolution in Europe?
It's unimaginable, really.
So, India and Italy have worked together in the past. Now that we are focusing on knowledge, I just wanted to mention, as I mentioned earlier, that it is important to measure the contribution of knowledge to GDP. How much does knowledge contribute to GDP? And as we know, knowledge is the most important factor in the production of goods and services. And it should be possible to measure it. And we are now in contact with a brilliant professor from Italy, from Rome, whom I used to know when I was ambassador there, Umberto Sulpasso. He should be coming to Delhi shortly, and we hope to start that project. That is to measure GDKP, and India will be the first country to measure GDKP, which will be of interest to the rest of the world. Now, coming to some of the specific points made, I think Italy can be a great source of technology. Italy, in terms of technology and innovation, I would say is a superpower. Of course, and Italy has to take more interest in India. I am saying this because on the one hand, 600 Italian companies are in India, which is a good figure. But let us look at it in context. There are 750 French companies, 1,500 German companies. So we expect to see more Italian companies. And Indians and Italians get along famously well. We both talk a lot. We get to know each other, without formalities. So the scope is there, synergy is there. Now, the most important thing is that decisions taken at the highest level or in the presence of the highest political leaders, they have to be implemented. So there is a lot of work to do, but it's exciting work. And I'm sure there are good prospects that this work will be accomplished.
The relationship between the two countries saw a lull or saw a cold period as a result of the Italian Marines issue. Is that a thing of the past now, do you believe?
Yes, that was in 2012 when 2 Italian Marines shot dead Indian fishermen. Now, I think it is more or less behind us. And there was a time, when the India-EU summit was sort of getting postponed, and even the free trade agreement with the EU discussion was getting postponed. All that is behind us, and I think it will be correct to say that the two countries have now decided to turn the page and work on their synergy.
You know, one issue really as far as Italy is concerned is, you know, the leadership keeps changing. You know, and that's something that we've seen over the years. Is that something that could possibly, you know, come in the way of the relationship between the two countries, or is that something that is not at all a problem, do you think?
I would say that it is less of a problem than it might look, because since the end of Second World War, I don't know, probably 60 to 65 governments in Italy. But, you know, Italian economy is independent of the political changes. Of course, Italy has its own economic problems with the EU and all that, because the sovereign debt is 130% of the GDP. But all that they are tackling. I mean, you know, we have to leave it to them to tackle. And Italian, especially the SMEs, medium and small and medium scale, Italy has huge strength in it, and I would like to see more collaboration between the SMEs of the two countries.
Apart from science and technology, of course, a few more sectors that were mentioned, of course, telecommunications, railways, renewable energy, you know, innovation, is some of the, you know, sectors, some of the aspects that were stressed upon. Do you believe that anything in particular was left out, something that needs the attention really at the highest level?
I would say that this time the focus was on science and technology, correctly. I would say that we should also focus on culture. Don't forget that in 1852, there was a chair for Sanskrit in Turin University, you know, and Italy has a good tradition, great tradition of what they call Indology. Now, Indology is about India's past, but we have to expand that. Indology should include not only India's past, but also contemporary India, and that I think. And I think the interest in India's culture, in Indian history, in Sanskrit. Don't forget that, you know, Sanskrit, Latin and Greek are cousins.
Yeah.
And Italian is just Latin changed a little. So I think there is scope for focusing attention there also. You
know, traditionally, of course, we've been allies, like you mentioned, you know, our relationship, our ties with Italy go back to 25 BC is what you were telling us. But there have been some ups and downs really as far as the relationship is concerned. If we come back to the 80s, 90s and, you know, more recently, of course, 2012, we have the Ottavio Cotrocci issue, we have the Bofors issue, Augusta Westland and so on and so forth. Every now and then an issue like this comes up. Why is that so, do you think, Ambassador?
Well, issues come up because we are interacting a good deal. But I think the attitude should be to tackle those issues, but to move on. And that is what we are trying to do now. Both governments and the people are trying to do that. And we also have an Indian community in Italy, 160,000. Good number.
What are some of the areas, do you believe, Ambassador, that we need to focus on going forward? Because we know tourism is really big as far as Italy is concerned, but probably the number of Indians going there as tourists is not as high as anywhere else. So is that a sector that we possibly need to focus on?
Yeah, I would like to focus and get more Italians to come to India.
India, yeah, that too, yes.
You know, in fact, when I was there, we had started a scheme, Italians getting remarried in India. You know, a couple married for the last 30 years, they decided to get remarried in India. And it went on successfully for a while. So we have to think of new ideas. And
what could these new ideas be, and what could these new sectors really be going forward is what you think?
Yeah, and also more student exchange. Not only at the level of students, but also at the level of professors.
Right.
You know, that something is happening. When a management school is in Bombay, for example, but a lot more can be done. And I would like to see, say from JNU, our students going for a semester to Sapienza in Rome, or even to Bologna. Bologna is the oldest university in Europe, older than Oxford and Cambridge. You see? So that has to be focused on.
What are the short-term goals that both the countries should have and should achieve, do you think? And what are some of the long-term goals that they should be thinking about?
Well, we have to improve, take our trade to a higher level. For example, of course, recently we have made progress. I have the figures here. In 17-18, it is 10.5 billion US dollar. And the previous year, 16-17, it was 8.8. So there is increase. But we can't remain there.
Yeah.
We have to pitch it up higher.
What needs to be done, do you think?
I think this is not for the governments. Governments can only facilitate. It is for the industry, the CII and Wiki on our side, and CII on the Italian side, Confindustria Italiana. They have to work together. But quite apart from that, Italy is well known. So our corporate houses and the SMEs, as I mentioned earlier, should go there, and they should also come here. Need not be always huge delegations. No, a lot of it can be done, you know, by a good number of small delegations when there is more interaction. So that should be done.
So short-term goal should be trade. We should boost our trade figures is what you're suggesting. What needs to be done in the long run? Maybe a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan?
I think we should also think of investment. Italy has invested in India, as was mentioned, and India also has invested in India, in Italy. But I think when you look at the potential, when you look at what other European countries have done, Italy can invest much more in India. Of course, you know about Fiat, you know, important investment, and then other technology, for example, gear and all that. Bonfiglio is a company which has invested in Chennai. So that sort of thing has to be sort of promoted further.
You know, interestingly, the Italian Prime Minister was talking about how the highest number of World Heritage Sites really are in Italy, and how they have expertise really with dealing with monuments, with dealing with World Heritage Sites, and possibly that technology can be transferred to India, and that of course will go a long way, isn't it? Because we too have several World Heritage Sites that need to be kept, well kept.
Yes, absolutely. This is something which let me recall, you know, the Indus Valley script, you know, we had wanted to cooperate on that. I mean, or rather they had wanted, and I tried hard, but I couldn't get okay from our side. But that is an area of great importance in taking care of historical monuments and other sort of paintings, you know, things like that. Italy has very good technology. Right.
You know, and some of the other aspects that were spoken about as well at a time when, you know, when Europe, when the West is looking inwards, when, you know, Trump is talking about America first. It was interesting and heartening to see the Italian Prime Minister talk about multilateralism, talking about G20 and how we have to ensure that everyone is taken along. So a message really maybe for the rest of the world as well.
Absolutely. And this is an area where India and Italy think alike. So we can work together much more than we have been doing.
Absolutely. You know, and, you know, as far as going forward is concerned, you know, Ambassador, and looking maybe, you know, in the immediate near future, let's not forget that we have elections in our own country as well. So is that something that could possibly come in the way of the relationship between the two?
I wouldn't think so, because as far as having and strengthening relations with Italy are concerned, everybody in India is of the same view. And I can say that it is the same view in Italy too. They had a change of government, but that these changes in government do not affect bilateral relations.
So that having been said, what are the sticking points, do you think, between the bilateral relationship between the two countries?
Well, one is that, you see, we want an expansion of the Security Council, and India has a legitimate right to be a permanent member. India, Germany, Brazil and Japan are working together. Now, Italy has a little problem there, because already Britain and France are permanent members, and Italy would find it very difficult to see Germany also becoming a permanent member without Italy. Now, everybody should know that you cannot have 4 permanent members from Western Europe. So, there India and Italy have a different point of view. But as I said, that need not come in the way of our bilateral cooperation.
Talking about Europe, talking about Britain, of course, and with Brexit and everything that's been happening there, and looking at how we have, had a strong relationship with Great Britain in the past, and, the door to Europe really was through Great Britain, so to say. That having been said, then, because of Brexit, do you believe that it's important for us to have individual and strong individual ties with several of these other European Union countries?
Absolutely. I think, we should understand that while in the past Britain was considered the gateway, which was not incorrect, language and other associations, but we need to expand our presence in the continent, and we need more of our young people to know Italian, French, German, Spanish and Portuguese. It's important.
Has that been the biggest problem, Ambassador, do you think, the language barrier really? Because with the UK, language wasn't really a problem, but if you look at some of the other bigger economies in Europe, probably language was a barrier.
I'll put it this way. I mean, at the higher level, the higher executives, they speak English. But nevertheless, don't forget that business is done not only at the higher level, the follow-up is at the other levels. And there, I think, knowing the other person's language or having a common language is of considerable importance.
And we've seen a new trend of sorts over the last year or so. We've seen, the heads of state, we've seen, meetings at the highest level, be it the president, the vice president, or the prime minister, not just focusing on the big economies in Europe, but looking at some of the smaller countries as well. When I say smaller, I don't mean, I don't mean to put them down, but, smaller economically, really, and dealing with them individually as well. Now, is that change in approach a good thing?
I think it's a very good thing because, there are opportunities all over the world. While we cannot pursue all the opportunities simultaneously, we have to prioritize. And in the past, perhaps, not only us, but other countries also have tended to focus only on the bigger ones. I think it's important to focus not only on the big ones, but also on the comparatively smaller economies, because they also have their advantages.
Absolutely. They do have their advantages, and everyone has something new to bring to the table, and there is mutual benefit really for everyone. Yeah,
that is the spirit of globalization.
Right. Before I let you go, 2 quick questions, Ambassador. What's the way forward really as far as India-Italy ties are concerned?
I think, as I said earlier, these decisions have been taken. The bureaucracy on both sides should work out a plan of action with a time-bound plan of action, and they should look at it from time to time. What is it that we have accomplished, what is it that remains, and what is it that can be done to sort of, push it forward. And when I said the bureaucracies, I meant not only the bureaucracies within the government, but also the CII and its counterpart.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everyone who has been associated with these decisions should take upon themselves to have a concrete plan of action, a time-bound plan of action.
And what does the future hold for both the countries? We heard the Prime Minister Modi, talking about partnership. Do we have a stable partner in Italy, in Europe?
I would say that we can have a stable partner if both countries work together. Because as I said, there is much in common, though not everything we agree on.
Strategic partnership on the cards anytime soon, do you think?
It might take a little longer, but it will come eventually.
All right, Ambassador, pleasure having you on the program.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for putting things into perspective for us.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on this special telecast. Thank you so much for watching.